Kongō, named after Mount Kongo, was a significant warship in the Imperial Japanese Navy, serving in both World War I and World War II. She was the first battlecruiser of the Kongō class and one of the most heavily armed ships of her time. Designed by British naval engineer George Thurston, she was laid down in 1911 at Barrow-in-Furness by Vickers Shipbuilding Company in Britain. Notably, Kongō was the last major Japanese warship built outside of Japan. Commissioned in 1913, she initially patrolled the Chinese coast during World War I. Kongō underwent two major reconstructions over her service life. Starting in 1929, she was rebuilt as a battleship, which involved strengthening her armor and enhancing her speed and power. In 1935, her superstructure was completely overhauled, her speed was increased, and she was equipped with catapults for launching floatplanes. This upgrade reclassified her as a fast battleship, capable of keeping pace with Japan's expanding carrier fleet. During the Second Sino-Japanese War, she operated off mainland China before joining the 3rd Battleship Division in 1941. By 1942, she was part of the Southern Force in preparation for the Battle of Singapore. During World War II, Kongō played a vital role in several major naval battles of the Pacific War. She supported the Japanese Army's amphibious landings in British Malaya, now Malaysia, and the Dutch East Indies, now Indonesia, in 1942. Kongō then faced American forces at the Battle of Midway and participated in the Guadalcanal Campaign. Throughout 1943, she primarily stayed at bases like Truk Lagoon, Kure, Sasebo, and Linga Roads, deploying several times to counter American air raids on Japanese island bases. In 1944, she took part in the Battle of the Philippine Sea and the Battle of Leyte Gulf, where she engaged and sank American ships. However, on November 21, 1944, while passing through the Formosa Strait, Kongō was torpedoed and sunk by the submarine USS Sea Lion, making her the only Japanese battleship sunk by a submarine in World War II. Design and construction. Kongō was the first of the Imperial Japanese Navy's Kongō-class battlecruisers. These ships were designed to be almost as large, expensive, and well-armed as battleships but traded heavy armor for greater speed. British naval engineer George Thurston designed them, and they were ordered in 1910 after the launch of HMS Invincible. The Kongō class was built to rival the battlecruisers of other major naval powers at the time, often referred to as the battlecruiser version of the British battleship HMS Era. Their powerful 14-inch naval guns and substantial armor, which made up about 23.3% of their 30,000-ton displacement in 1913, were unmatched by any other Japanese warship then. Kongō's keel was laid down at Barrow-in-Furness by Vickers Shipbuilding and Engineering on January 17, 1911. According to Japan's contract with Vickers, the first ship was built in the UK, with the rest constructed in Japan. Kongō was launched on May 18, 1912, and then moved to the dockyards in Portsmouth, England, for fitting out, which began in mid-1912. All parts for her construction were made in the UK. Kongō was completed on April 16, 1913. In January 1914, the Siemens-Vickers Scandal erupted. A leaked telegram revealed a pattern of bribery by German and English armaments companies. Siemens had been paying Japanese officials a secret 15% kickback, until Vickers outbid them by offering 25%. Vickers paid Admiral Fuji and Vice Admiral Matsumoto Kazu substantial sums to secure the contract for building Kongō. This scandal led to the resignation of Prime Minister Yamamoto Ganohayo's government and the resignation of senior executives from Mitsui, Vickers' Japanese partner. Initially, Kongō was designed to have 10 12-inch main guns, but Vickers persuaded the Japanese to opt for larger weapons. As a result, Kongō's main armament comprised 8 14-inch naval guns and 4 twin turrets, making her the most powerfully armed capital ship when commissioned. The turrets were similar to the British 15-inch turrets, with improvements for better flash tightness. Each main gun could fire high explosive or armor-piercing shells up to 38,770 yards, at a rate of about 2 shells per minute. Kongō and her sister ships were the world's first vessels equipped with 14-inch guns. Kongō's secondary battery initially included 16 6-inch guns, 8 3-inch guns, and 8 submerged 21-inch torpedo tubes. Her 6-inch guns could fire 5 to 6 rounds per minute, though their placement made anti-aircraft firing impractical. During her second reconstruction, the older 3-inch guns were replaced with 8 5-inch dual-purpose guns, capable of firing 8 to 14 rounds per minute. Kongō was also equipped with many 1-inch anti-aircraft machine guns. By October 1944, her secondary armament was reconfigured to include 8 6-inch guns, 8 5-inch guns, and 122 Type 96 anti-aircraft rapid-fire cannons. As a battlecruiser, Kongō's armor was relatively thin. She had a main belt of 6 to 8 inches, deck armor ranging from 1 to 2.75 inches, and 9-inch barbette armor protecting her main gun ammunition. The turret armor consisted of 10-inch faces and 9-inch sides and rear. 1913 to 1929, Battlecruiser Era. Kongo, completed on August 16, 1913, was commissioned into the Imperial Japanese Navy, IJN. Just 12 days later, she set sail from Portsmouth to Japan, docking in Singapore from October 20 to 27 before arriving at Yokosuka Naval Arsenal on November 5, where she entered First Reserve. In January 1914, she was at Kure Naval Base for armament checks. With the outbreak of World War I on August 3, 1914, Japan issued an ultimatum to Kaiser Wilhelm II to withdraw German troops from Qingdao, China. When ignored, Japan declared war on Germany on August 23, occupying former German territories in the Caroline Palau, Marshall, and Marianas Islands. Kongo quickly deployed to the Central Pacific to patrol these sea lanes. Returning to Yokosuka on September 12, she was soon assigned to the 1st Battleship Division. By October, Kongo and her sister ship Hiei supported Japanese troops during the Siege of Tsingtao and later received upgrades at Sasebo Naval Base. In October 1915, Kongo and Hiei participated in the sinking of the old Russian pre-dreadnought Imperator Nikolai I, captured during the Russo-Japanese War. With the defeat of the German East Asia Squadron by the Royal Navy at the Battle of the Falkland Islands in December 1914, IJN operations in the Pacific dwindled. Kongo spent the rest of World War I at Sasebo or patrolling off China's coast. In December 1918, after the war, she entered Second Reserve and received a new seawater flooding system for her ammunition magazines in April 1919. The Washington Naval Treaty of February 6, 1922, significantly limited the IJN, setting a capital ship ratio of 5 to 5:3 among the UK, US, and Japan, respectively, and banned new capital ship construction until 1931, with a 35,000-ton displacement limit. Existing ships could be upgraded, provided additions didn't exceed 3,000 tons. By treaty's implementation, only 3 classes of World War I-era capital ships remained: the IJN-class battleships, Kongo-class battlecruisers, and Fuso-class battleships. In April 1923, Kongo transported Crown Prince Hirohito to Taiwan. On June 14, 1924, she collided with submarine No. 62 during maneuvers. By November 1924, she docked at Yokosuka for modifications, enhancing her main gun's elevation and fire control systems. In 1927, major superstructure modifications gave her the distinctive pagoda mast to support new fire control systems. Her steering was upgraded in May 1928, and she was placed in reserve to prepare for major modifications and reconstruction from 1929 to 1931. 1929 to 1935, reconstruction into battleship. Starting in September 1929, Kongo underwent a significant transformation at Yokosuka Naval Arsenal, prompted by restrictions from the Washington Treaty. This treaty banned Japan from building new capital ships until 1931, so the focus shifted to upgrading existing World War I-era vessels. Over the next 2 years, Kongo's horizontal armor near her ammunition magazines was strengthened, and the machinery spaces were enhanced for better torpedo protection. Anti-torpedo bulges were added along the waterline, and she was refitted to carry 3 Type 90 Model 0 floatplanes, though without catapults. To boost her speed and power, Kongo's 36 old Yarrow boilers were replaced with 16 modern ones, and Brown Curtis direct drive turbines were installed. The forward funnel was removed, and the second funnel was enlarged and lengthened. These modifications increased her armor weight from 6,502 to 10,313 tons, exceeding the Washington Naval Treaty's limits. By March 1931, Kongo, now capable of reaching speeds of 29 knots, was reclassified as a battleship. On April 22, 1930, Japan signed the London Naval Treaty, which imposed further restrictions on naval forces. Several older battleships were scrapped, and no new capital ships were built. Kongo's reconstruction, which began in September 1929, was completed by March 31, 1931. 2 months after Japan invaded Manchuria, Kongo joined the 1st Battleship Division and became the flagship of the combined fleet. By January 1932, she was equipped with additional rangefinders and searchlights, and Captain Nobutake Kondo took command in December. In 1933, aircraft catapults were installed between her rear turrets. On February 25, 1933, the League of Nations condemned Japan's invasion of China, leading to Japan's withdrawal from the League and both the Washington and London naval treaties, removing all restrictions on its capital warships. By November 1934, Kongo was placed in Second Reserve for further modifications. On January 10, 1935, she was inspected by Nazi German naval attaché Captain Paul Wenneker during a gunnery demonstration. 1935 to 1941, Fast Battleship Era. On June 1, 1935, Kongo entered dry dock at Yokosuka Naval Arsenal for significant upgrades to prepare her for escorting Japan's expanding fleet of aircraft carriers. Her stern was extended by 26 feet to enhance her speed, and her 16 old boilers were replaced with 11 new oil-fired compound boilers and modern geared turbines. The bridge was completely rebuilt in Japan's distinctive pagoda mast style, and catapults were installed to support 3 Nakajima E-8N or Kawanishi E-7K reconnaissance and spotter floatplanes. Kongo's armor received extensive improvements. The main belt was uniformly thickened to 8 inches, and diagonal bulkheads, ranging from 5 to 8 inches, were added to reinforce the armored belt. Her turret armor was strengthened to 10 inches, and portions of her deck armor were thickened by 4 inches. The protection for her ammunition magazines was also enhanced to 4 inches. By January 8, 1937, these upgrades were completed, and Kongo, now capable of speeds exceeding 30 knots, was reclassified as a fast battleship, although she still retained many characteristics of a battlecruiser. In February 1937, Kongo was assigned to the Sasebo Naval District. By December, she was under the command of Takeo Kurita in the 3rd Battleship Division. In April 1938, 2 float planes from Kongo bombed Fuzhou, China, during the Second Sino-Japanese War. Throughout 1938 and 1939, Kongo patrolled the Chinese coast, supporting Japanese Army operations. Captain Raizo Tanaka took command in November 1939. From late 1940 to early 1941, additional armor was added to Kongo's armament barbets and ammunition tubes, and her ventilation and firefighting systems were upgraded. In August 1941, Kongo joined the 3rd Battleship Division under Vice Admiral Genichi Mikawa, alongside her fully modernized sister ships Hiei, Kirishima, and Haruna. 1942, Pacific War Service. On November 29, 1941, Kongo and Haruna left the Hashirajima Fleet anchorage, marking the start of the Pacific War as part of the Southern Forces main body, led by Vice Admiral Nobutake Kondo. By December 4, they reached the coast of southern Thailand and northern Malaya, ready for the invasion set for 4 days later. Following the swift defeat of Britain's Force Z, comprising the battleship Prince of Wales and battlecruiser Repulse, by Japan's land-based aircraft from southern Vietnam, Kongo's battle group retreated from Malayan waters. This group later sailed from Indochina in mid-December to protect a reinforcement convoy heading to Malaya and again on December 18 to cover the Japanese Army's landing at IJN Gulf in the Philippines. The main body left Cam Ranh Bay in French Indochina on December 23, arriving in Taiwan 2 days later. In January 1942, Kongo and the heavy cruisers Takao and Otago provided distant cover for air attacks on Ambon Island. On February 21, Kongo, Haruna, 4 fast aircraft carriers, 5 heavy cruisers, and various support ships prepared for Operation J, Japan's invasion of the Dutch East Indies. By February 25, the 3rd Battleship Division covered air attacks on Java. Kongo bombarded Christmas Island off Australia on March 7, 1942, then returned to Staring By for a 15-day alert. In April, Kongo joined 5 fleet carriers in attacks on Colombo and Trincomalee on Ceylon. Following the destruction of the British heavy cruisers HMS Dorsetshire and HMS Cornwall on April 5, this task force moved southwest to locate the British Eastern Fleet under Admiral James Somerville. On April 9, one of Haruna's reconnaissance planes spotted the aircraft carrier HMS Hermes south of Trincomalee. That same day, Japanese air attacks sank the carrier, and Kongo was attacked but missed by 9 British bombers. With Britain's Eastern Fleet crippled, the 3rd Battleship Division returned to Japan, and Kongo reached Sasebo on April 22. From April 23 to May 2, Kongo was dry docked for anti-aircraft armament reconfiguration. On May 27, 1942, Kongo sailed with Hiei and the heavy cruisers Otago, Chokai, Myoko, and Haguro as part of Admiral Nobutake Kondo's invasion force during the Battle of Midway. After the devastating loss of 4 of the combined fleet's fast carriers on June 4, Kondo's force withdrew to Japan. On July 14, Kongo was named flagship of the restructured 3rd Battleship Division. In August, she received surface detection radar and additional range finders during drydock at Kure. In September, Kongo, Hiei, Haruna, Kirishima, 3 carriers, and numerous smaller warships responded to the U.S. Marine Corps' amphibious landing on Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. On September 20, this task force returned to Truk Naval Base in the Central Pacific. Following the Battle of Cape Esperance, the Japanese army decided to reinforce its troops on Guadalcanal. To shield their transport convoy from enemy air attacks, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto sent Haruna and Kongo, escorted by a light cruiser and 9 destroyers, to bombard the American air base at Henderson Field. Their high speeds allowed these battleships to shell the airfield and withdraw before being targeted by land-based warplanes or American carriers. On the night of October 13th to 14th, they fired 973 14-inch high-explosive shells from about 16,000 yards, heavily damaging both runways, destroying most of the U.S. Marines' aviation fuel, damaging or destroying 48 out of 90 warplanes, and killing 41 Marines. The next day, a large Japanese troop and supply convoy reached Guadalcanal. During the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands on October 26, 1942, Kongo was attacked by 4 Grumman TBF Avenger torpedo bombers but was not hit. In mid-November, Kongo and other warships provided distant cover for another unsuccessful attempt to bombard Henderson Field and deliver more army reinforcements to Guadalcanal. On November 15, after the Japanese defeat and the loss of Hiei and Kirishima during the naval battle of Guadalcanal, the 3rd Battleship Division returned to Truk, where it remained for the rest of 1942. 1943, movement between bases. In 1943, Kongo did not engage any enemy targets. At the end of January, she took part in Operation K, serving as a diversionary and distant covering force to aid IJN destroyers evacuating Army troops from Guadalcanal. From February 15 to February 20, the 3rd Battleship Division moved from Truk to the Kure Naval Base. On February 27, Kongo was dry docked to receive anti-aircraft upgrades, including 2 triple 25mm gun mounts and the removal of 2 6-inch turrets. Additional concrete protection was added near her steering gear. On May 17, 1943, in response to the U.S. Army's invasion of Otu Island, Kongo sailed with the battleship Musashi, the 3rd Battleship Division, 2 fleet carriers, 2 cruisers, and 9 destroyers. 3 days later, the American submarine USS Sawfish spotted the task force but couldn't attack. On May 22, the task force arrived in Yokosuka and was joined by 3 additional fleet carriers and 2 light cruisers. This force disbanded when Otu fell to the U.S. Army before preparations for a counterattack were completed. On October 17, 1943, Kongo departed Truk again as part of a larger task force comprising 5 battleships, 3 fleet carriers, 8 heavy cruisers, 3 light cruisers, and numerous destroyers. They sortied in response to U.S. Navy air raids on Wake Island. No contact was made with the enemy, and the Japanese task force returned to Truk on October 26. Kongo soon left Truk for home waters, arriving at Sasebo on December 16, 1943, for refits and training in the Inland Sea. 1944, Combat and Loss. In January 1944, Kongo entered dry dock to overhaul her anti-aircraft defenses. 4 6-inch guns and a pair of twin 25mm mounts were replaced with 6 twin 5-inch guns and 4 triple 25mm mounts. The 3rd Battleship Division left Kure on March 8, 1944, arriving at Linga on March 14 for training until May 11. On that day, Kongo and Admiral Ozawa's mobile fleet departed for Tawi-Tawi, joining Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's Force C. On June 13, Ozawa's mobile fleet set sail for the Mariana Islands. During the Battle of the Philippine Sea on June 20, Kongo escorted Japanese fast carriers and remained undamaged despite counterattacks from U.S. carrier aircraft. Upon returning to Japan, 13 triple and 40 single 25mm mounts were added to her anti-aircraft armament, totaling over 100 mounts. In August, 2 more 6-inch guns were removed, and 18 additional single mounts were installed. Battle of Leyte Gulf. In October 1944, Kongo set sail from Linga, gearing up for Operation Show 1, Japan's counterattack during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle in history. On October 24, Kongo managed to avoid damage from several near misses by American carrier aircraft in the Battle of the Sibuyan Sea. The next day, during the Battle off Samar, Kongo, part of Admiral Kurita's center force, engaged the U.S. 7th Fleet's Taffy 3, a group of escort carriers and destroyers. She targeted several destroyers initially without success but eventually landed a hit on the bridge of the destroyer USS Hull with her main battery. For a long time, it was believed that Kongo scored 3 hits on the destroyer USS Johnston with her 14-inch guns after Johnston had heavily damaged the heavy cruiser Kumino. This damage reportedly reduced Johnston's speed and led to her sinking under fire from a Japanese destroyer line. However, Japanese records show that Kongo was blinded by a rain squall during this time and couldn't engage enemy ships. Instead, it was the battleship Yamato that claimed multiple hits on Johnston, now accepted as 3 18.1-inch shells and 3 6.1-inch secondary gun hits. Thus, Kongō did not contribute to Johnston's crippling and sinking. Kongō then turned her focus to the escort carrier Gambier Bay, claiming a hit with her main battery. However, this hit was also claimed by Yamato, which had a better angle and range. Yamato was credited with the hit by Japanese authorities. Kongō did manage to score multiple hits on Hull and the destroyer Heermann, significantly contributing to Hull's sinking. At 9:12 a.m., she sank the destroyer escort Samuel B. Roberts. Despite fierce resistance from the American ships, which resulted in the sinking of 3 Japanese heavy cruisers, Admiral Kurita decided to withdraw, ending the battle. While retreating, Kongō sustained damage from 5 near misses by attacking aircraft. The fleet reached Brunei on October 28. Sinking. On November 16, after a U.S. air raid on Brunei, Kongō, along with Yamato, Nagato, and the rest of the First Fleet, set sail for Kure for fleet reorganization and battle repairs. By November 20, they were in the Formosa Strait. Shortly after midnight on November 21, the submarine USS Sea Lion made radar contact with the fleet at a distance of 44,000 yards. At 2:45 a.m., Sea Lion fired 6 bow torpedoes at Kongō, followed by 3 stern torpedoes at Nagato 15 minutes later. 1 minute after the first salvo, 2 torpedoes struck Kongō on her port side, while a third hit sank the destroyer Yurikaze with all hands. The torpedoes flooded 2 of Kongo's boiler rooms, but she managed to maintain a speed of 16 knots. By 5 a.m., her speed had reduced to 11 knots, and she was permitted to detach from the fleet and head towards Keelung in Formosa, escorted by the destroyers Hamikaze and Isakaze. Within 15 minutes of leaving the main force, Kongō began listing 45 degrees and was flooding uncontrollably. By 5:18 a.m., the ship lost all power, and the order to abandon ship was given. At 5:24 a.m., during the evacuation, her forward 14-inch magazine exploded, causing the ship to sink rapidly, resulting in the loss of over 1,200 crew members, including the commander of the 3rd Battleship Division and her captain. Kongō is believed to have sunk in 350 feet of water, approximately 55 nautical miles northwest of Keelung. She was one of only 3 British-built battleships sunk by submarine attack during World War II. The other 2 were the British battleships HMS Royal Oak and HMS Barham. Kongō's journey, from her construction in Britain to her active service in 2 world wars, showcases the evolution and resilience of naval engineering. Her story is a testament to the bravery and dedication of her crew, who faced unimaginable challenges during some of history's most significant naval battles. As we remember the fate of Kongō and her crew, we honor their legacy and the enduring spirit of those who served aboard this formidable warship. Thank you for joining us in exploring the remarkable history of the Kongo. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories from the annals of military history.